Hey everyone, my name's Father Conrad. I am really excited to be your new chaplain here at the University of Maryland. And can't wait to get to know you, can't wait to get to know Jesus together. And I just wanted to let you know before we start that I'm praying for you every single day. I've been praying for a lot of you guys by name. I can't wait to meet you and get this year started. So in order to help us get to know each other better, we had you guys submit a couple questions for me, so that way you can get to know me, and we'll do a couple videos where you can get your burning questions answered. So we're going to start this one, though, with kind of the bigger question, which is for me to tell you guys my vocation story. And I'm happy to do it. It's a great joy to really get to say what the Lord's done in my life to bring me here. And it starts, I guess, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a priest. When I first started altar serving back in the 5th grade, that's when I first thought about being a priest. And I even went to visit the seminary not far from my house. I grew up outside of Chicago, and they had these seminarian days at Mundelein Seminary for junior high kids. And so I went to those. At the same time, I wanted to be an astronaut. So I decided I was going to be the first priest on the moon. That was going to be my goal. So I wanted to be a priest very young, but then when I got to high school, I kind of changed my mind. I had other priorities. I wanted to date. I wanted to, got involved in sports. I really, really started loving history and politics, and I decided that that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be the president of the United States. And in fact, I remember when I was a senior in high school, I went to my home parish and walked back into the sacristy, and one of the priests there said, he was talking to a seminarian, and he said, "Oh, this guy right now, he wants to be the president, but someday he'll be a priest." And I laughed, and sure, yeah, whatever. Anyway, because I wanted to do politics, because I wanted to do public service, that's what brought me to Washington. I went to George Washington University. I studied international politics. And I really wanted to kind of fulfill my goal, which was eventually to run for office. And then I made the mistake of actually interning at the White House, interning on the Hill, and I realized I really didn't like politics. And all of a sudden, all my very carefully laid plans for my life were just totally upended. And I had to figure out what was it that I was going to do with myself. So I told myself, I'm going to wait till my junior, and my junior year, I'm just going to figure out my life, and then I will be able to just relax and just implement my plan, I guess. And so that's what I did, and consequently my junior year was miserable. I had a lot of pressure on myself, a lot of anxiety that I had placed on myself to try and force myself to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And on top of that, that call to the priesthood had been coming back since I went to college. At GW, there's a really wonderful Newman Center, just like there's a great Catholic Student Center here, and I had started going to different events there. I started going to daily mass my sophomore year, and I started going to adoration more, and that call, that thought that maybe I should be a priest kept coming back, and people kept telling me, maybe you should think about the seminary. And so my junior year, I was just forcing myself, okay, I'm going to figure out my vocation, I'm going to figure out my job, I'm going to figure out my life, and then I'll be able to graduate and just go do it. And of course, it just was not working. On top of that, too, I had a really wonderful girlfriend that year, and I was putting pressure on myself. Okay, am I going to get married? Am I going to go become a priest? And we broke up, and we got back together several times because I couldn't figure it out, and it was just awful. I was just terrible. And so in the end, my junior year, I went to see the vocation director, the priest who kind of recruits guys to go to the seminary. And he told me, you've got to stop doing this. You've got to stop discerning. Because what you're doing is you're not listening to Jesus. You're just trying to figure out your own life. And that's not how it works. That's not how the Lord lets you know. It's not through this anxiety and pressure that you're going to know what your vocation is. And so I kind of took that to heart. I was like, you're right. I really am not doing this the right way. And so I stopped discerning. And my senior year, I told myself, I'm not going to worry about what I'm going to do when I graduate. I'm not going to worry about what my vocation is. I'm not going to think about those things. I'm just going to put them in God's hands. And whatever God wants, that's what I'll do. I'll apply to everything and see what happens. And all I decided I would do my senior year is just focus on praying, just focus on getting to know Jesus. And so that's what I did. And I had such tremendous peace, which was a big thing for me. I'm a very type A kind of person, and I like to have all my ducks in a row and all my plans laid out. And all of a sudden I was asking the Lord to take care of all that for me, and all of a sudden I had such tremendous peace. Until, something changed partway through my senior year. And what changed was I was at Mass, I was altar serving, and I looked at the priest, and I thought to myself, kind of deep within, I thought to myself, maybe I could do that. Just maybe. It was just a little opening, but when I opened that door just a little bit to the Lord, he just came flowing in. And I was so happy. For like a week and a half, I was just so happy. It was just grace upon grace upon grace. And all I could think about, the only line that could help me understand what was going on was the line from the disciples on the road to Emmaus, where they said, "Did not our hearts burn within us as he spoke to us on the way?" And they recognized him in the breaking of the bread, and then they have this tremendous grace, and they realized their hearts were burning within them. And that was what was happening to me. I knew it. I knew exactly what they were feeling. My heart was on fire because the Lord was speaking to me. There's a line, there's a line from the Rule of St. Benedict, which says, "What, dear brothers, is more delightful than this voice of the Lord speaking to us?" Like, that's what I was experiencing. That's what I knew. And I knew in that moment. I knew I wasn't going to go to grad school, which I had been applying to. I knew I wasn't going to, do some of the other options I had been thinking about. I knew I was going to have to start thinking about the priesthood again. I was going to have to start discerning. But even then, I thought, that'll be a couple years down the road. Maybe I'll go to seminary. So I go back to the vocation director, and I tell him my story. And now he says, "Wow, you're in a totally different place. The Lord is really speaking to you." And he said, "I think you're called to enter the seminary. We're not sure about the priesthood yet, but I think you're called to enter the seminary, and I think you're called to enter the seminary right when you graduate." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? No way. I'm right when I graduate? That's insane. I never thought in a million years that would be what I do when I graduated from college." But the more I just sat with it, the more I knew, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. This is where I'm going to go. This is the plan. And so I asked for an application to the seminary. My hand was shaking when I did it. I was so nervous. What am I doing? What are you doing? But I applied, and I was accepted. And on the day I was accepted, I was just so happy that I went up to the chapel in our Newman Center, and I prayed evening prayer to thank God. And evening prayer, if you haven't prayed it, is a series of psalms and prayers and readings that priests and religious pray every single day. And for evening prayer that day, the antiphon before the Magnificat was, "Did not our hearts burn within us as he spoke to us on the way?" It was just a beautiful confirmation. Oh my gosh, the Lord really is speaking to me. He's speaking to me. He's calling me to this life. And I've just been so happy ever since. I went to the seminary. I did 2 years at Mount St. Mary's in Emmitsburg, Maryland. And then I went to the North American College in Rome. And I was in Rome for 5 years total. After 4 years, I was ordained a priest in 2015. And then I had to go back to Rome for 1 more year. And then I've had different assignments around here since then. I was parochial vicar at Holy Redeemer in College Park, just up the road. And then I was the director of worship for the Archdiocese and the backup priest secretary to Cardinal Wuerl. And then I was full-time priest secretary to Archbishop Gregory. And now I'm really overjoyed and blessed that I get to be your priest, that I get to serve you, that I get to do these amazing things that priests get to do, like say Mass and preach and teach, and my favorite, which is hear confessions, and get to bring Jesus in some small way to each one of you. I can't wait. I really can't wait to get started. And I hope that you bear with me as a still pretty much a baby priest. Bear with my faults and my failings, but also pray for me, and I'll be praying for you. I'm looking forward, like I said, to getting to know you all. And we will see you hopefully soon, if not sooner, in another video. God bless you.